Not all probiotics are created equal. New Purina Systemic Supplement remains live and active after the pelleting process and throughout the digestive system, making it all the way to the hind gut. Systemic was designed to support normal recovery after exercise and occasional gastrointestinal stress. Whether you're using a probiotic now or not, it's time to use a live and active supplement from a name you trust. Visit mq.purinamills.com to try a Purina Systemic Probiotic Supplement today. You're listening to Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family. Welcome to Sleep Stories for Equestrians. I'm your host, Ashley Winch. We're so happy you're here to relax and unwind. If you fall asleep and miss the story, we will recap it at the beginning of the next episode. We've also selected and edited these stories for ultimate relaxation, removing any stressful bits without affecting the story's integrity, so you can focus on drifting off to sleep. With that, let's settle down and prepare for our story. The gates are closed, the horses sleep, the day's work done, the chores complete. Now let us rest, our bodies and minds. Drift off to sleep and close your eyes. It's time for us to turn down for the night. Now let's breathe in, breathe out, and turn off the light. One more time. Breathe out, breathe in. Now, let us begin. The Elf and Her Friends, Chapter 1. The elf begins her story. I am a beautiful bay mare called the Elf, and I will begin at once to tell you all I can remember about myself and my friends, not only my horse friends, but also about the humans and animals who have some time or another come into my life and helped to make it happy. For remember that I, the elf, am a very fortunate horse, with the kindest, most thoughtful and understanding of masters, and it is chiefly because I am so very happy myself that I feel I must do everything in my power to help my less fortunate brothers and sisters. And so, without another moment's delay, I begin the history of my life, and will endeavor in the telling of it to bring home to the human mind some of the things which I have heard Master tell Ricketts, our head groom, that all keepers and lovers of horses ought to know, to enable them to understand horse nature and horse needs more thoroughly. I expect some of my quite young readers, when they take up my book, will open their eyes in childish wonderment and, turning to mother or nurse, will ask the very sensible question, can horses talk and write? And if the one questioned is a true lover of horses and has troubled to study them, she will answer, I don't think I have ever seen or heard of a horse riding, but he can speak in the most wonderfully eloquent way with his large expressive eyes, and tell you when he is frightened or tired, happy or sad. And so, the true horse lover has no difficulty in penning the thoughts which I, the elf, want to pass on to the children in the human world. Amongst other things, I want them to realize how greatly all horses need the full use and benefit of their beautiful tails. I want them to plead with me with those who so recklessly and thoughtlessly deprive horses of one of their most useful members for trivial, silly, and petty reasons. I was born in a lovely old place in Kent, and I roamed about in the beautiful fields surrounding my home. My mother, Lady Beechwood, would often talk to me about my dear master and tell me how lucky I was to be her foal and to be born into such a kind home and to have from the very beginning of my life such a master as mine. I have told you my color is bay and have called myself beautiful, and though this sounds a bit conceited, it is quite true. And please, if you are inclined to doubt the fact, look at my picture, and then, somehow, I feel sure you will agree with me. At least, I very much hope so. You will notice I have a long white mark on my forehead, and also a little white on each of my legs just above the hoof. My tail is long and flowing, and the next time you go out for your walk, humans, I want you to look particularly at all the horses you meet and think, if you can, how I am different from nearly every one of them. Perhaps if you are very small, you won't be able to find out for yourself, but your big brothers and sisters will help you, and if you haven't any, take my book with you and open it at my picture. And then, I think, even the very tiniest of you will look up and say to whoever is with you, "Why hasn't that horse got a beautiful tail like the elf's?" In time, I'm going to answer that question myself for you, and although I cannot speak from experience, I am thankful to say, yet I can tell you all that my friends Invicta and the Dandy have told me on the subject, and the latter, alas, spoke from all too bitter actual experience. From the very beginning of my life, I had plenty of companions to play with, for besides several foals of my own age, I had my brother Eros and Chanticleer, both a year older than myself, and we were all very happy together. At first, I and the other foals kept very close to our respective mothers, but as time went on, we began to talk amongst ourselves and to have our own little excitements and adventures. I had a sort of precedence in the field because both my father and mother were rather celebrated horses. My mother had won the championship at Richmond Horse Show for going fast, and my father, George Hummer, was also a famous fast racing trotting horse. Dear master made a pet of me from the moment I was born. He was very fond of both father and mother, and so, I suppose, he naturally took to me, their child, and I was soon known as his favorite horse, although he loved us all. Master was constantly about, and when I was only 3 days old, he began to take me in hand. He told Ricketts that he wished to undertake my education entirely himself, and would train me while he was keeping busy with Eros. Ricketts seemed a bit disappointed, but I was so delighted when I heard what Master said that I made up my mind to be just as good and obedient as I ever could. Horses begin their education at a very early age, and as I have mentioned, I was only 3 days old when Master gave me my first lesson. He began by putting me on a headstall with very long reins, and then walked behind me holding them. At first, I tumbled about and was very awkward on my long, ungainly legs, and Mother, who was standing near, looked very anxious, which made me feel nervous. I soon pulled myself together, however, for was not dear Master teaching me, and I must be worthy of his training at all costs. Master noticed my valiant efforts, and his kind, gentle voice encouraged me to walk steadily, to turn from right to left, and to stop at his pleasure. My ear soon got accustomed to woe, which meant I was to stand perfectly still, and I learnt that a slight pressure on the right or left rein indicated where Master wished me to go. There was no loud shouting, no pulling at my soft, tender mouth, and never a thought of using a whip. In fact, the whole lesson was very like the game I have heard you little humans call playing at horses, for Master held the reins behind me, just as I have seen Mother or Nurse do for you, and I don't know how you enjoy yourselves when you go prancing along. I don't think you can have a nicer game to play when you go out for your daily walks. I know I just love it when Master plays with me, for though he really means it for a lesson, he makes it so very nice and interesting that I feel I am having good fun all the time, and I try with all my might to please him. I never stand in the middle of the road and refuse to go on, as I saw a small boy human do the other day. The child and his little brother were reined together, and their mother was leading them. The elder boy, with his beautiful auburn sun-kissed curls flying in the wind, and his lovely little face wreathed in mischievous smiles, was being a very obstinate horse indeed. Gee up, Georgie," said the mother, trying to coax the bigger boy, for Donald, the younger, was anxious to get home to his dinner and quite ready to gallop there at breakneck speed, if only Georgie wouldn't drag back so. Georgie, however, wouldn't move, and the more his mother urged him on, the more stubbornly he did pant his little sandaled feet on the ground and stammer out, "I won't move on, Mother, I won't, I won't, I won't. I don't want to go home yet." His mother coaxed him a little longer, but as he still refused to go the way she wanted him to go, she at last slipped the reins off little Donald, and picking horse Georgie up in her arms, carried him home. I couldn't help thinking what Master would say if I were to behave like Georgie when he wanted me to go home, and I wanted to stay out. Master is a very busy man, and like most big humans, has heaps of things to do, so it happens very frequently that I have to go back to my stable long before I feel inclined to do so. Thank you for joining us for Chapter 1 of The Elf and Her Friends, a horse story founded on fact by Isabel Wortley. We hope you enjoy this relaxing music as you drift off to dreamland.